Our exclusive interview with the Orange County meter reader who discovered the remains of Cayle Anthony, the Orlando, Florida toddler who disappeared last June and whose mother has been charged with her murder. As our Andrea Canning reports, the way her remains were found is one of the most puzzling and mysterious aspects of this disturbing case.
As authorities and the community searched relentlessly for little Cayle Anthony over the summer,
Say hi, Mom. Say hi, Mom.
Florida utility worker Kronk made a crucial discovery that would only come to light months later. In August, he noticed a suspicious garbage bag on his route about a half-mile from the Anthony home. Acting on a hunch, he persistently called 911 3 days in a row.
There was something round and white underneath of it, and I don't know what it is, but it just didn't look like something that should be there. There's a swamp area that I saw something that I called in a tip the other day, and they said they would dispatch an officer out to me when I got there, and I'm here.
But after searching the area, the sheriff's deputy concluded there was nothing of interest to the Cayle Anthony case. Kronk believes the search wasn't thorough because the area is infested with snakes. He says he even showed the deputy this photo he took of a rattlesnake. 4 months later, in December, Kronk made another call to authorities from the area. But this time, it wasn't just a hunch. He had discovered a child's body.
I'm in the wooded area down by the school. I need you like now. I just found a human skull.
Finally ending the 7-month search for Cayle.
Kronk was praised for discovering Cayle's body, but now information has surfaced concerning his own past. In the early 90s, he was arrested on kidnapping charges.
Kronk maintains he was vindicated and the old charges have no bearing on this case. The Orange County Sheriff wouldn't comment on the arrest, but did release this statement. He saw something that was suspicious and acted upon it as any good citizen should. He did the right thing. For Good Morning America, Andrea Canning, ABC News.
And just a short time ago, Kronk joined us right here in the studio. And as Andrea said, even though the Orange County Sheriff's Department has praised him for being a good citizen, that has not prevented some to speculate he knows more than he's telling. Roy, first of all, thank you very much for joining us this morning. We appreciate your time. Can you just take us back and how you went about discovering the remains?
Well, August 11th was the first time I was ever assigned that route. And we got done with the route about 1:30, and we don't have to be back to the office until 2:30. So we found the only shady spot there was. And if you look at the place where that area, suburban, where the body was found, it's a swamp on either side of the road. And the only thing down at the end of the road is the school, the elementary school. So at that time, school wasn't in session. So the only people going up and down that road would either be maintenance workers or people like that going to the school. There would be very little or no foot traffic at all. And I used to be a boarding officer in the Coast Guard, and I also was a bail bondsman bounty hunter for years. And it just kind of made sense to me that if you were going to get rid of something like that, with the decay of the smell of the swamp decay on either side of the road, it would have been a great place to hide it.
And so you make this discovery, you call 911.
Yes.
And what was the response?
Well, I called that night about 9:30, 10 o'clock, and they said, okay. And then nothing happened, no one called me back. I called them again the next night about 9:30, 10 o'clock. They told me to call Crime Line. I didn't want to call Crime Line. I just wanted to stay as anonymous as possible. And so I called Crime Line, and they said they'd have an officer meet me out there. So the next day when I got off work, I drove over there. I called. The officer showed up. He just pulled his expandable metal baton out, went down to the water's edge. I pointed in the area where it was at. He just swept his head back and forth and said, I don't see anything. And pretty much that was it.
And that was in August.
Yes, ma'am.
December, you go back to the same area. Why did you go back?
I had to go to the bathroom. So I went in there and I looked over and I saw a shape that didn't look quite right to me. And when I pulled the bag up, I basically looked down and there it was.
Did you know it was the same area where you had found?
Roughly, yeah. Except there was no water there this time because it all dried up.
And you called authorities again?
Yes, ma'am.
And this time they did find?
Yes, ma'am.
The remains. Do you have any idea why, when they were there in August, nothing was found, but then returning in December, Cayle's body was found?
Well, there was water there in August, and I guess the deputy didn't want to go out into the water to look at the bag.
Were you frustrated that you had made this discovery months ago, and it took until, 4 or 5 months later for it to be determined that it was her body?
Well, pretty much. I mean, the cop was like, I would say he was kind of rude to me. And I just didn't really, I'm trying to help out, I'm trying to be a nice guy, and instead I'm catching all this, so I just didn't care anymore.
We saw in Andrea Canning's piece and that you came forward and you let the media know that, look, there was a kidnapping charge.
Right.
Never went to the grand jury.
Well, actually, it went to the grand jury, but it came back as not a true bill, so it was sealed, expunged from my record, and the only reason I came forward with it is that I have nothing to hide.
And you wanted to come forward and make sure that everybody knew everything about you because you didn't want to be the focus.
Yeah, I didn't want this to happen, what's already happening.
There's so much speculation about your possible involvement, and as a private citizen that came forward and helped so much in this case, how do you feel about all that?
No good deed goes unpunished. I mean, all the speculation that there was like tips and all, nobody tipped me off. I figured this out by myself, and I just have chose not to say anything back until today.
Well, let's set the record straight today. Did you have any contact with anyone in the Anthony family before finding
I've never
remains?
even met those people, no.
Did you have anything to do with the disappearance of Cayle Anthony or anything like that?
Of course not.
Would you still do it all over again?
They've been really hard on me, and you try to do the right thing, you try to be a nice guy, and you just get vilified. And to where people, I mean, and the sad thing is people actually believe some of the things that are being said. And I have nothing to do with this at all. But, you know, you listen to some of these conspiracy theories, and, you know, I've done everything known to mankind, and I haven't done anything. I just tried to help put a little closure to that poor child, and, you know, she got a decent burial and to end all this. That's all I tried to do.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
for coming forward and talking with us this morning. Certainly do appreciate it and wish you all the best.
Thank you, ma'am.